the biggest thing right now, and I always say, I write about it all the time, is generational wars. Everyone wants to prove themselves. Everyone wants to prove that they're best generation, which doesn't exist. It's not a thing. Like, there is no best generation. There is no best way to do things. Everyone wants to just fight and prove themselves.
Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm recording this in 2025, but by the time you see this will be in 2026. So welcome again to Saloon 3. As I said, this is a platform for conversation. By the way, most of the conversation we have here are very unscripted. Only if it's a very specific topic, we need an expert or something very specific that I need to do research. And the reason we do this, it's because we want it to be very unfiltered. We want it to be real, and we want it to be impactful. As I said, this is a platform for conversation, and I thank everyone who's been with me since last year. I mean, since this year, but last year because you'll see this in 2026. And then today I am with a special guest. I would ask her a few questions. She warned me she will ask me a lot of questions as well.
Yeah.
Audrey, how are you? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm good, thank you. This truly made me feel special. You said special guest. I said, yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Yes.
But thank you. No, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. I am very happy to be with you as well. And by the way, this is the first time I met Audrey in person, but we've been chatting a bit. And before we get into the conversation, who are you?
Who am I? You know, I wrote about this the other day. I said, who am I is such a hard question, because where does one even start?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much to say, but I'll start with a cliche, like just the typical, I'm a young Rwandan African woman, extremely ambitious.
Nice.
I'm living between two worlds, I like to say. So both on and off the continent. And I'm like at the peak of figuring things out, is what I used to say. I don't think I can talk about who I am without talking about the season that I'm in. And so I'm at the peak of figuring things out. I love life. I'm a lover of life. And yeah, I'm just like high-spirited, I like to say. And so I think that's just the easiest way. How do you describe yourself when someone asks? Because
it's a very
it's always
interesting
hard
question.
to answer. Yeah.
It is. For me, it was really difficult to define who I am.
Yeah.
And I just came up with one word that I usually use, Ndumushabit.
Tell me more.
Technically, Mushabit, if you make a richer translation to English, you will translate it as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I love that.
Somehow-ish, I guess.
Yeah.
But it means really that I'm driven on building business, building people, and building things to success.
I love that.
So I guess that's really how I slightly define it. Most of the time people ask me a lot of questions. Oh, Malik, but what do you do exactly?
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't even know
hard.
what I do, you know?
Yeah.
But speaking to that,
Yeah.
there is one thing you said. I want to ask you a question. When you say you're extremely ambitious, what does extremely ambitious mean?
Extremely ambitious is I'm a dreamer.
Yeah.
But I also work towards my dreams.
Yeah.
And for someone who has a lot of dreams, I think that's what leads to extremely. I think the measurement of ambition is very subjective. So what could be extreme for me may not necessarily be extreme for others.
Yeah.
But I think what leads me to saying that is because for someone who has almost a new dream every single day that builds onto what she already has, but is bold enough to chase it in whatever way it takes, I think that's what I describe as that. And I think being willing to go through different paths, different seasons, just to get to it, I think is what has led me to saying that.
But how does one prioritize their dreams, right? Because we're all dreamers. Well, I cannot laugh at you. I always have new dreams, new plan.
Yeah.
But how does one actually prioritize dreams? You know, like you have plans. It's like, I'm dreaming to do this. I'm dreaming to do that. I'm dreaming to travel here.
Yeah.
But how do you actually plan those type of...
I think what's feasible. I think that's a huge part of it, because there's a lot of dreams that I have, but realistically, I could say that if it's at a level 20 and I'm at a level 1, maybe we should prioritize the dream that's at a level 2. You know what I mean? And so I think for me, it's mostly one time so when I talk about feasibility, I think of time, I think of resources, I think of the seasons that I'm in.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's unrealistic to jump into prioritizing a dream that you know just can't work at the time based on your other priorities. And so I think that's what I use it as a measurement. I wouldn't say that I have a system, but maybe it's needed for that. Some sort of like mind system that could allow me to prioritize it. But I think another huge part is writing them down. Like a lot of people lose their dreams in the process because, again, there's a new one coming all the time. And so it's so easy to forget about what you had 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But I think a good chunk of it is I always write it down. And I think with the way we're created as human beings, somehow they tie back into each other. It's rare that I could have a dream to become a musician, let's say, but I also have a dream to become a lawyer, and I also have a dream to become a doctor, and I also have a dream to become an artist. So let's say I paint, and it's rare that it's that drastic. Most times, somehow they come into each other, and I think I'm a spiritual person, so I always think it's God's way of giving us our guide to getting to the bigger picture. And so I think writing it down always allows me to just kind of, it grounds me, it brings me back together. So I don't know if it's not a proven system to work, but I feel like it's helped me for the most part.
It is working, right? But the thing is, there's one thing you just said that's really interesting for me. And being the person I am and raised in a place where I was raised, I'm talking about my neighborhood, my hood in Nyamirambo.
Okay.
So where you meet all sort of people, but you also meet people with different ambitions in the sense of they want to be so many things, right? And sometimes there are things that you can be at the same time. You can multitask. But as what we're saying is that you can't be a doctor and I don't know, be a mechanic and then be an architect at the same time, right? But sometimes we meet those who want to be, right? So today they want to be a doctor, and then by the time you meet them, they change, they want to be architects. By the time you meet them, they change, they want to be something else. I'm really curious from your personal experience as someone who navigated different things in life, navigating personalities, navigating culture, education as well. You were telling me that you also are financial by education. How does one, what really helps someone to actually define, say, I can't be so many things, but when it comes to a particular things, I need to make a choice?
I'll say that I have two ways of looking at it. One of my favorite things about being African is because of our survival mindset and the hustle culture, there is a lot of people who will tell you that they can't be it all. And in a way, it's a good thing because it gives, especially young people, the mind to know that they're limitless. And it doesn't box you into this space of you have to be one thing. But I will say that it gets to a point where it can get really exhausting. If you prioritize, then you could never be the best at. You can't become an expat. Like if you are trying to do 20 things at the same time, you can't become an expert. Now, I will say, when it comes to multiple things that lead to one mission, I think that's what allows you to know what to prioritize. If you have one bigger picture, let's say in the next 20 years, I want to be this thing, but you know that you're doing 20 different things, there's definitely at least 5 of those that are getting you on the right path that could lead you to that. I think that's what I look at the most. Just knowing what gets me closest to my goal, what gets me closest to my purpose. A lot of people that you're talking about, how you go to places and you find people who are doing multiple things, and it's sometimes not even completely related at all. They'll tell you that, they'll convince you that they can, but for most part, it's not really from a place of purpose. It's from a place of, I need the money. So I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get there. And so I think when I speak, it's less from the financial perspective. I think it's more from fulfillment, from purpose, from the dream, and the dream not necessarily being to survive. And so with that in mind, I think it allows you to know what to pick out and what to put in. But also I think it comes with time.
What is your big dream?
What is my big dream? I'll tell you. And it's so funny because I write it in my journal all the time. I always think to myself, if I'm to close my eyes right now, I'll tell you that so I'm 23 right now.
Yes.
I'll tell you that I see myself on like Forbes 30 under 30
Oh, nice.
for impact, not for necessarily business per se,
Yeah.
but for the lives that have been shifted.
That is in the next 7 years.
And that is in the next 7 years. And I could tell you that I love to write.
Yep.
And I'm writing my first book.
Oh,
and
nice.
I could tell you that the big picture is New York Times bestseller.
Nice.
So I'm not thinking of publishing my first book or the second book, but it needs to be so good, so well written, so impactful that it gets the New York Times bestseller. But when I say that from the now. And I can know that I'm working towards that. But priorities shift. And so that's in the next 7 years for Forbes.
Yeah.
And New York Times bestseller. I'm writing my first book. Who knows? That could be my first book. That could be my second. That could be my third.
Yeah.
And I think with time, then it expands.
Yeah.
You know? I think more will get there. But I will tell you that's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Both of them are very built on my writing and impact, for sure.
So I will come back to the book.
Yeah.
But I feel like when we have dreams, one of the biggest challenges, how do we track the achievement, right?
Yeah.
And then one thing you're saying that I 100% agree with you is priority change.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get disappointed.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about this on how do you deal with the change of your priorities, especially when it comes to disappointment.
Yeah.
Right? Do you feel like you're really on track of building your life? When things change, how do you deal with the change?
I would be lying if I said that I always felt like I was on track. I think it depends on the day. Today, right now, in this moment, I could tell you I feel like I'm on track because this is on track.
Yeah.
But tomorrow, you might ask me and I'm like, Malik, Jans. Jans. I don't see anything for myself. Like, everything just feels disorganized. And I think it's unrealistic. When people tell you that they always feel on track, I think it's unrealistic. People are not vulnerable enough to say that some days they really feel like they don't know. And even now, when I talk about the big dream, sometimes you're not able to even articulate it. There are some days where I could tell you this right now, but tomorrow it just feels like I'm not able to articulate it enough. Or sometimes even being so young, you feel like your dreams are bigger than you. Sometimes it just seems like, am I aiming too high? Do I see enough people around me who've achieved what I want to achieve that I could feel like the dream is real and it's valid? And so it really depends. The greatest way that has helped me deal with the disappointment, I will say a support system. You get through, when you're a teenager, you're extremely cocky. There's just that phase where you just feel like, I don't need anyone. No one gets me and it's okay. All I need is myself. And I had that phase. You get to a point where you realize it's just unrealistic. We were created in this world as multiples for a reason. You need community, you need support. And so I will say there are days where even if I just have that one person, which for me is mostly that, I have my one person and I'll just be like, listen, today I'm really struggling and I really don't know. And that person not only holds space for me to say that I don't know what to do next, but also gives me the guidance to then figure it out. I will say that a huge part of the biggest gap is not having mentorship in general, not just for myself, but for a lot of people. So that on the days where you're disappointed, you have someone who you could go to who could help give you some sort of guidance. And so I will say that a support system, the biggest thing. But then also too, when I say writing things down, I read back what I've written a lot. And I think reading back what I wrote from a place of excitement and from vision, it grounds me. It brings me back to like, no, Audrey, like I think you may not know it all. I don't think you ever get to a point of knowing it all. But you have a clue. Like build onto that. Just because today has failed doesn't mean it's gonna, And I think I'm also a firm believer in, and not a lot of people believe this, but I'm a firm believer of once you've seen it, you can achieve it. There's a reason why you've seen it. And so having seen it, even if today feels confusing, I think I find hope in that. Knowing that tomorrow is going to be a better day. Like we're going to get to that. Having the humility to know that some days it's not because it's in this phase of my life. It could be 20 years from now and I'll probably still have days where I feel like I don't know. And that's okay.
It's very interesting when you're saying believing in yourself and having a support system. So I was watching this other YouTube show when they were saying how millennials are like a customer care service organization.
Okay.
So that we live in pleasing people.
Oh, yes.
And the things we do always have to come at no worries. They have to
Yes.
start by ha ha ha. So
Yes.
that
To lighten the situation.
to lighten the situation.
Yeah.
And you and at some point it also creates something of like humbling as well, in a sense, because you don't want to harm someone, you don't want to hurt someone's feeling.
Yeah.
And when you go to Gen Z or younger generation, so for them sometimes they don't think about that. And what triggers me to bring this conversation here is because you said support system.
Yeah.
And when someone has, sometimes I feel like sometimes when someone has too much self-belief.
Yeah.
They don't believe in they don't believe in support system, right? So it becomes a lot of me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
And then quite often you even think that you are self-made. By the way, I don't agree with that word.
Yeah.
So on your own experience, when you say that I went through a phase of believing in myself, and not having a support system, and then landed to a place where you could actually think that you need support.
Yeah.
What landed you there? And then how did you see the result?
Before I even talk about what landed me there, I'll talk about why I felt like all I needed was myself. What I wanted to do for myself, my dreams were very unconventional, right? So it's not the typical, you go to school for accounting and then you leave accounting and then you get a job. Like, it was very unconventional. Things that I didn't even know how to articulate at the time. I couldn't even tell you that I wanted to become a speaker. I wanted to become a writer. I just used to tell you, I love this thing, but everything you're telling me it doesn't fit into these other roles you're telling me. And so it came from a place of aggression, of feeling like no one understood exactly what I wanted to do, and no one was relating to my dreams. No one had the same excitement that I had. And so that's what led to, you know what? Forget all of this. Like, I'll just do it on my own. But the transition from that to I need people is, I think, just growth in itself. When teenagers are rebellious by nature, that's just who they are as people. When you get just slightly older, it really doesn't take that much time. Even if you just get into college, you realize not only do I not know it all, I know nothing at all. Like, it's just like the most humbling season of your life. And that comes from, you start to have conversations, because when as a teenager, you're only talking to teenagers. So they'll fool you into thinking, we know it, we got this, because you guys all think the same. When I started opening myself to having more conversations with people who are significantly older, people who are in completely different seasons of their lives, people who had achieved so much more than my mind could ever fathom, and you hear about their journeys, you hear about their stories, you see their perspectives, it does something to your mind. When I started living with people, because even now I live with people from different nations, when I started living with people who have completely different experiences from me, you hear them speak and you realize, like, we come from such different worlds. When you're in a bubble and I keep referring to teenagers because I think that's just like the space that I was mostly like rigid. When you're in a bubble of people who think like you, look like you, grew up like you, it fools you into thinking that the rest of the world is just like you. But when you expose yourself, so I will say growth and exposure, it leaves you in a space of, oh my goodness, I never saw the world like that. I never thought about it this way. And so you realize, I do need people, because you see what listening into their perspectives does for you. It stretches you, it challenges you, it pulls you. And so it's not only from a place of, I just can't do it on my own, but I can't even be the best version of myself if I don't have people. And so that's how even the support things comes into play. You realize the value of people to begin with. You can't value support without valuing people. And I think that's the biggest thing of this generation. You talk to a lot of the younger generation, they talk about being self-made and they talk about only needing themselves, and you realize they don't value people just as beings, just being Africans, community, the importance of being surrounded for years, for generations. That's how Africans have lived together, with people. If you go to a village, people are coexisting as a group. If you need something, you go to your neighbor. That's just how it's been as a culture. And so I think with growth comes more grounding with where you come from. And I think with valuing people, I got to see how much more that I can get from them, as well as give to them. And I think that's why I started appreciating support. I started seeing how with that support, it's not only people who are praising you, that support will also come with,
Yeah.
Audrey, like you've been moving too fast.
Yeah.
Or Audrey, I don't think what you said was right.
Yeah.
Audrey, and that, like having people who can hold you accountable, having people who can challenge you, it's done a lot for me. So I think that's where the complete shift came.
Yeah.
I got exposed to a new group of people, but I also saw what those people did to me as a person, and I started appreciating it so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now it's Audrey Garuka.
Yeah.
It comes to me again to two things, right?
Yeah.
So one, I want to ask two questions in one, but it's because I don't want to forget. Really, question one is how, if you're thinking about that speed, right?
Yeah.
What do you think young people, the Gen Z, need to do in terms of controlling their speed, and then also in terms of listening to others? And then there's something else that it's really because I do not want to forget and I'm not making notes.
Okay.
The second thing is, which we were discussing earlier on, is about coexistence being between generations. Because sometimes, yes, people tell you Garuka because of their own good as well.
Yeah.
Right? They're like framed because they can't keep up with your speed.
Exactly.
So how do you deal with those two situations where you actually have to speed, but also listen to people and then see if what they're saying is valuable or not?
Yeah. I think I will say, first thing is discernment. You have to filter. That's just how the world works. It's not even just from people who give you advice. It's just in general, the world comes with a lot of noise. And everyone feels like they should give you this unsolicited advice, and everyone should tell you, give you input, even when you haven't asked for it. And so I think it's in general, people really need to discern. By discernment, I mean knowing what you need to take and what you need to leave out. As much as we could have this conversation. And I could say a lot of things, but whoever is listening could just state one or two things and they know that's what relates most to them and that's what actually joins to their journey. And so I will say one, discernment. Two, I will say humility, because I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't want to take in the advice at all. So there's the extreme end of people who don't want to listen at all. But having the humility to know that you don't know it all. And there's some people who generally are actually giving you advice from a place of, no, I'm trying to help you.
Okay.
Now, there's also the people who tell you slow down because they just can't keep up, which I'm trying to find a very nice way.
No, don't. Unfiltered, unfiltered.
That is just a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Just to say the least. Let me tell you, there is, and I've had a lot of that. I've had a lot of people who will tell me that. I've had people who've told me, Audrey, you're going to seem all over the place. Your resume is going to seem disorganized because you're trying to pick this job and then that job, and then what do you even do? Like, you're trying to do multiple things at the same time. We can't keep up. And so I've had people who've just been like, no, slow down. Employers will not respect you. Your resume is all over the place. And it comes from a place of insecurity. Now, if I make room for all the insecurity, then really you end up losing yourself in the process. That also mostly comes from older generations that have are like ripe in their careers, and for the most part just feel like now you're taking up too much space and too much room.
Yeah.
And I will say that I don't really give much time to. I think you just put it to the side and kind of mind your thing, but also knowing who to share your dreams with and who to make that room for.
Yeah.
A lot of people, because of excitement, you start to speak about your stuff to anyone and everyone, and I'm doing this and I'm starting this and I want to look into this. And you make room for people to either speak life or death into you. And I think that's just where everything goes downhill.
Yeah.
So being wise with who to share certain things with, that's another thing about this generation. We're very loud about what we're doing. I am on social media a lot. People think they know all of me, but really that's not it. I'm also really strategic with what I post.
Yeah.
But you find a lot of people want to bring out a camera for every single thing, every single thought, every single progress they've made, every single project they're working on, every single thing. But knowing that there's certain things that only happen in the quiet place and learning to discern that. I think I've said a lot of things. Does this answer your question?
It doesn't have to be, but yes, it does anyway.
Because I'm just like, because it's such a heavy question.
It is a heavy question.
There is so much to really tap into it. But I actually want to get into the whole idea of coming from a people-pleasing generation and the shift. Because you talked about bridging that.
Yeah.
The biggest thing right now and I always say, I write about it all the time, is generational wars. Everyone wants to prove themselves. Everyone wants to prove that they're best generation, which doesn't exist. It's not a thing. Like, there is no best generation. There is no best way to do things. Everyone wants to just fight and prove themselves. And so I think I wish we had more honest conversations. I wish everyone wanted to learn from each other. There's nothing new under the sun. And so really, if you could look at someone who's lived longer and honor their wisdom, because time really does mean something. As much as people don't, the younger generation doesn't want to admit that. They want to convince you that they know things and time doesn't matter just because you're older. It doesn't matter, but it really does mean something, because wisdom does come with time sometimes. And so appreciating that and honoring that is something that I think I wish we spent more time appreciating.
So in ideal world, when you're talking about generation gap or generation coexistence, in your dream world, how do you think these two generations, especially millennials and Gen Zs, will coexist?
In the dream world, I wish millennials didn't gatekeep. I'll start with millennials. I wish they didn't gatekeep. By gatekeeping, I mean a lot of millennials and a lot of Gen X, actually. I think both generations, they're very much, I know what I know and I want to hold on to it. I wish they didn't gatekeep. I wish you shared your wisdom more, and they were able to they're just more open.
But are you guys willing to listen to it?
See, this is where it's coming. I'm getting there. It's a perfect world. So I need to paint from both perspectives. So I wish there's less gatekeeping. And there's more transparency, not just work hard. We need more explanations of, like just a little more step-by-step guide maybe. More transparency, more humility. Less aggression, less competition. So that's just from like the place of just older generations. Gen Zs, I would say more humility, more grounding, more research, more information, less following trends, more conversations. Because I think that's the biggest problem with Gen Z as a whole. We talked about it earlier too. There's this whole need to, because this person did that, I want to do it. Societal pressure. Because I saw this, because people are doing get ready with me videos. Now I also want to do get ready with me videos. Really, does it align with your brand? Does it align with who you are as a person? And so I wish people spent more time just informing themselves, getting to know who they are as people, getting to read more. I think we're really losing a reading culture. Getting to read news more, getting to have more conversations that are not shallow. Because a lot of the younger generations, when you walk into every room and they're talking about the same thing. They're just talking about trends and they're talking about like just very shallow conversations. I wish they had more depth. And we're just more willing to have conversations with older people and not have the need to just stick to themselves, because you don't learn and grow that way. This isn't just talking to millennials. This is talk to your grandparents, go as deep as that. And so I think that would be the perfect world. If somehow we could just coexist from really all of it just comes to humility. I think that's the biggest thing, and just more communication. What do you think the perfect world would be? I'm curious.
What I think the perfect world would be. So I think, yes, there... where do I start? I think there is what you said in terms of maybe I'll say it from I'm trying to find the perfect word. I think I'll say it from the sense of not fighting for positions. Because I feel like sometimes with our generation and generation slightly older than me, we fall into three groups. So we fall in a group of, I used to do this and I want you to remember what I did in the past. And there is a quote in Kinyarwanda that I actually tweet a lot or post a lot that says, Narumugabo ntihabwa intebe. So just because you had this experience or because you've done that a couple of years ago,
it doesn't mean
that you can still do the same. You've earned this. And you have that group. And this group is also creating some level of problems because they don't want to listen. They just want to rely on a film you created 20 years ago. So when you created that film, the type of cameras were not existing today. AI was not there. So it does not necessarily also makes you the greatest filmmaker of today's generation. So which means there is a certain level of listening and understanding that people should have in that sense. So then you have the second generation, which I think is my favorite generation. I mean, it's my favorite group, whereby they know that they're older. They know that there's certain level of experience they have. But they also, the world is moving too fast.
Yeah.
So because the world is moving too fast, then you have to listen and you have to keep up by also including the people that are moving too fast with the world, so that you can actually be able to share your wisdom, but also be able to learn as well, right? So it becomes a win-win situation. It's like, I know what I know, I do not know what I don't know, right? So now who knows what they know that they can help me, and what do I know that I can give? And the third group is I think is what you're calling almost the resentments, right? So they are refusing to see the world in the way it is today. They're trying to push back, like hating on social media. They want to go back to Nokia 3310 because they're like, shaka old school. I want to be classic, but it's not really trying to be classic.
It's just to prove a point.
It's prove a point, right? So I think that is the situation. And on the other side of a younger generation, I think, for me, I've been told no many times by Gen Zs. Good no, a good rejection, really. And sometimes I'm like, but when you go home and reflect, you understand that the Gen Zs, or the younger generation, they have a lot of self-awareness.
They do.
And that is great. And this is why they don't take the crap, as you said. And they give it to you raw. They're very unfiltered. Although sometimes being filtered is needed.
You know what? Before you continue, I will speak on that, because, sorry to cut you short, I want to speak on that because a lot of people think being unfiltered is like, it excuses you to be rude. And I think I will say that it is needed to be political sometimes.
Exactly.
Like, you have to be filtered just to keep...
I agree with you.
Yeah, so go ahead.
You can always be unfiltered, but be polite, be political correct as well, because that is very needed. Also, if you want to have a conversation with someone, aggression sometimes doesn't solve things.
Exactly.
And aggression doesn't mean you're speaking your mind.
Exactly.
So now, the issue is because they have that self-awareness and they think they're on the trend, there is less of listening. It's almost what we were discussing, me, myself, and I. So I don't want to listen, right? But if you will be slightly humble, to really try to listen and say, and listening doesn't mean that you have to do everything someone is talking about, right? So it's listening means filtering, understanding what is really important for you, and what is not important. No, it really makes a difference. And I think also, on top of the listening, that's a huge part, but even the people who are speaking, don't impose. I think the tone that you use, have conversations, even with what you're saying that I need to be listening to. They could be pointers of, what do you think? How do you view things? Based on what you've seen and how you've grown up, what do you think makes more sense in what I'm telling you? Not, you have to do this and you have to go that route. Because I think that's where the defensiveness comes from Although
the
that's
listener.
Commanding, it's not speaking.
That's another thing too, So I think the art of speaking has also been lost in a way, like having proper conversations and less demands. Because also we have to think about how, sometimes we really expect things from people who never had it, so they don't know how to give it. This is also coming from a group of people who we expect them to have more conversations and be more, casual with the conversations. But how they grew up, they were being told what to do. And so they don't know how to do that. So I think that's also where the biggest gap comes from. Even when I talk about the idea of mentorship, I've talked about it multiple times. I remember someone came to me and they said, Audrey, you realize you're expecting these people to become mentors and mentor you the right way, but they never had mentors. So they don't even know where to begin with. And so I think that's what happens with a lot of these conversations. You have a younger generation that has extremely high expectations, and they want a thing one way and they want it this way, and that's the only way they want it. And they want it from a generation that never had it. It's completely new to them. And there's less grace extended from both ends. I think that's the really understood part.
It is. One day someone told me something about love. it's a whole different conversation. But I would never forget this because it was really important. So someone who was raised in a broken family.
Yeah.
And one of that, they were having a conversation on having too much expectation in a relationship.
Yeah.
And then the conversation was, how do you expect someone who never received love actually know how to love?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So it comes really in it, and then this is comes in a relationship. It comes in professionalism.
Always.
It comes in all forms of things, right?
It does. But you know the biggest thing, and I no one ever talks about this, but it's really the truth. This expectation, when we talk about the idea of this expectation and not extending grace, older generations have always put themselves in a place of authority. You can't question me.
Yeah.
I know it all. I've seen it all. This is how I view things, and I know things, and I can't be wrong, you know? And so growing up, we've been viewing them as people that we could trust to know it all.
Yeah.
And I remember this one time having a conversation. It was a little while back, having a conversation, and I was talking to a couple of people and telling them, like, you do realize they were complaining about like just family structures and my parents this and my parents that. And I remember just being like, you do know, like, they're also just figuring life out. Like, as much as they're in a place of authority and they're older than you, they're also figuring life out. And so I wish that people understood that grace is extended to you when you position yourself in that way.
Yeah.
If I come on here and I'm telling you, like, there's some things I don't know, and there's a lot of things that I don't know, and I'm figuring things out, there's less pressure that's given onto me. When people approach me, they'll approach me from that lens of, Audrey was humble enough to know, to say that she actually doesn't know it all. But then if you've positioned yourself as, Jewe, I know it all, I'm this, I'm that, but now you're mad that people are matching that expectation to what you've given us our whole life, I think it becomes a bit of a contradiction.
Yes, and though, remember that's what makes us who we are.
Yeah.
In general, that makes us human, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite books is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Yeah.
It's the founder of Nike.
Okay.
So there is a time when he got investors from Japan, and he had nothing. He had no money. He had no what. So he had actually to set up a fake factory, almost a fake factory, so that he can show people that, oh yeah, if you give me money, I can do this, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, I do this all the time. Okay. So I get in a meeting where someone asks me if I know how to do something. I look in their faces like, yeah, I do.
But you don't.
And I don't. and not just as an entrepreneur. This has happened to me so many times.
Yeah.
I remember one of the time someone told me that, oh, Malik, you can be a very good project manager. I was about to be promoted. I was like, yeah, I can be a good project manager. And I had no clue even what a project manager meant.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like that confidence, it's really important.
It is.
What I don't know also as well is actually when to stop that level of confidence. Because again, too much confidence is a problem.
Yeah.
But again, low esteem again is also an issue because it blocks who your ways are. It blocks the opportunities you can get. So
I think it's about being realistic within yourself. Because someone could ask you, like, I think you'd be a really good project manager. And in your mind, it's like you have an idea of what that could be. You're like, okay, in your mind, you're thinking, I can't necessarily do it, but I know I could figure it out.
Yeah.
I think where it gets complicated is when people lose the measure of what can you figure out.
Yeah.
Now sometimes it gets on the extreme end. So I think it's just being able to be realistic with yourself, keep up with that, have like the mental measure of how much can I figure out.
Yeah.
But then if someone asks you, like, could we send you up on this position for technical engineering?
Yeah.
And now you just say, yes, I can do it. And it's just like, that's like, you need a lot of expertise for that. Then you're completely off the spectrum. So I think it's finding a measurement.
Yeah, but in that case, for example, right, you told us you're 23.
Yeah.
You have decently big ambition. So which means big ambitions means also great professional opportunities, etc. And there is an issue of how much actually, what do you, or even in your past experience, what did you have to do to convince people that even at my 23 years old, I know I can do this? Like what?
I'll say my biggest investment in myself is my communication.
Yeah.
My speaking has gotten me into a lot more rooms than you could imagine.
Yeah.
And I will say that a lot of people don't know how to articulate their thoughts and their emotions. And I always tell people, work on your communication. I'm not the best communicator. I have so much to work on. But I will say that people do get impressed by that. Now, with that has come opportunities.
Yep.
Most times I've realized with what I've had, it's less about giving you a portfolio.
Yeah.
It's been less about showing you projects that I've done. It's been mostly about how I can pitch myself.
Yeah.
If I could speak to you and we could have a really good conversation and you're impressed by the conversation we've had, and tomorrow I come and ask for an opportunity, you most likely think, oh, she's really smart. Not even necessarily because I'm smart. You don't even necessarily know what's up here. It's just because with what I've had, I've known how to speak on it. So I think that's been the biggest thing, communication. Because at being 23, I got my first job, like payroll, like an official job at 19. In my late 19, I was working at a bank. So I started working at a bank in 19. By 2021, I was a board director with board members who have more work experience than my age. Like they've been working for like years and years. And for all those roles, it's never been about my resume, because what's the resume? When you think about it, like you're 20, 21, like surely like you can't have done that much. Like I just the other days when I was legally allowed to work. So really, you don't have that much to work with. It's about how you can pitch yourself as a person, like my character and what I have to bring. And so for all of those, it's been my communication. Am I able to articulate my thoughts? Am I able to sit and research and read a lot before I get into a conversation with someone, so that when we speak, they can tell I have substance? And so that's just been the biggest thing.
But don't you get a little bit of a pushback as well, in the sense of you're too overconfident and you have no experience?
I do. And I think I look at it from two lenses. Sometimes they're right. I that earlier when I said, Audrey, like slow down, Garuka, I think I've had that as well, where it's been a pause button for me, and I realize people have helped me realize sometimes that, okay, no, you really are moving too fast. Like this, slow down a little bit. And sometimes it's been from a good place, and I could tell that for real, maybe I need to give it a 3-year timeline. Maybe I need to work a bit more on myself. People think that, and it's from a place of defensiveness. People think that it's just because they don't want you in that space. They don't want you in that room. A lot of times, it's really because you don't have the skill. So even if they were to give you that opportunity, you will fumble the opportunity. You won't be able to sustain it. And so in a lot of ways, when I've gotten that pushback, I've learned, and I'm grateful, because every time I've gotten that pushback, I've also gotten feedback. Like, we're saying no now because of this and this and this. And I've always used that opportunity. So, okay, like, let's work on it. Is it a course I need to take? Is it a skill I need to build? Is it more conversations that I need to have? Is it more roles that I need to take on? And I've used that. And some, I'm still in the process of doing that because I still can't get the opportunities. So there's that. And then there's the other end where they're just saying no. Because they just think age is a form of credibility. Like, you're not, just because you're young, we just won't give you the opportunity. And most times that's just, okay, I knocked on the door, they didn't open, I'll keep knocking. Persistency really does something. I've had roles where I applied easily 7 times to the same organization. 7, 10 times to the same organization. Sometimes for the same role. But you just keep knocking. And I think a lot of people just get frustrated about it. But that's just life. That's not a me thing. That's not a younger generation thing. Even millennials had to go through that. Even Gen X had to go through that. You have to keep knocking. That's just life. You have to realize that you're competing with people that are older than you, that are more skilled than you, that people have so many more experiences than you. And so what's the humility in thinking you should be the chosen one? You know what I mean? So, but this is really just keep knocking.
So how do you deal with no then, right? Because fighting your way up, proving people that you can do things, and then sometimes it's appreciated, other times it's like, yes, we like you, but you need to do A, B, C, D. How do you deal with those type of rejections?
To be honest, even now, I'd probably open my email, like in this very moment, and there's going to be, unfortunately, we can't right now, like as we speak, because that's how much I'm applying for something. I'm reaching out to someone, like there's probably someone who said no. You know, there's always an unfortunately email. have almost, I don't even know how to say this in like a good way, but it's not that I've gotten immune to it, but I've gotten so many no's. I've gotten so many no's that truly you rarely catch me feeling really bad about one no. Because I get like 10 no's a day. You know what I mean? So I think it's one of those things. When you exercise it so much, you get so used to it. You know that it's part of the process.
Yeah.
So I don't think I really dread on it so much. And then I also will say, because I've gotten a good amount of yeses, some that I never even expected, it gives me a lot of motivation to keep going.
Yeah.
Because I know that, okay, out of 1 million people, even if just one person could see me, and I get that all the time, I'm like, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
If God could allow that one person to see me, surely I have something within me. And so I think it allows me to just keep going. But dealing with the pushback, I've had that. I'm currently working on a mentorship series, and I've had a lot of people in my DMs. I reached out to this person the first time, the second time, the third time, and now I'm just giving up. And I'm just thinking to myself, how is that possible? Like, in the videos, I literally said at least 10 people a day. 10 people a day. It sounds crazy, and it sounds like a lot of work, but that's just what it takes.
Yeah.
Because you have to think you're competing in a world with millions of other people.
Yeah.
For people to see you, put in the work every single day and just keep knocking doors.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, I think the no's don't really like shake me as much. Of course, you have a moment of disappointment. Like you look at it, you're just like, oh, dang, I really wish. But I think I also have the confidence in me to think, oh, no, you're going to see me. You're going to see me one day. You may not see me now.
Yes.
You may not see what I have to bring today.
Yeah.
There's some people who have reached out for mentorship or I've reached out for guidance or for opportunities, and I'll get a no or something. Actually, a no is not bad. I always tell people, you'd rather get a no. Some people don't even answer you. You're just left blank. It's just silence. Like that's like the utmost level of disrespect. Like they don't even care to tell you no. Yeah. You're just left hanging. They don't even answer you. And I remember I've seen some of those opportunities, and I'm thinking to myself, oh man, in the next 20 years, next 30 years, I'm going to be so big. They'll look back at those emails and they'll be like, dang, we really passed on this opportunity. Yeah. And it's just, I make jokes with myself, and I just laugh about it and we move on. And so, I don't know. People spend too much time with their nose. It's just look at it, disappointed for a second or two, move on. Yeah.
I mean, people take things personal.
Yeah, they do.
How much do you take a no personal? If I tell you no and then we meet, or if I leave you hanging and then we meet, how do you deal with that?
Like I'll still have a smile on my face. Yeah. Because I think I'm not entitled.
Yeah.
I'm not entitled. I have a vision, I have all these goals, but you also have your life, and you have your own things that you're building. You have your own things that align with your brand. You have probably 10,000 other people that are asking you the same thing I'm asking of you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it is by grace alone that I get to be the chosen one. It's like even with applicants, right? When people are applying for jobs, people think that as they're applying, they're the only person that they're sitting there. They have to realize sometimes there's like 100 applications. Yours might not even be seen. Forget chosen. And so having just the idea that maybe it's just not part of the alignment, and it's not necessarily being taken personally.
I want to understand one thing. Usually I try to stay as neutral as I can, but because we're having this conversation, I need to bring it up. It's the spirituality inside you, right? Yeah. Because there's a lot of things you are communicating. It's coming a lot on, sometimes it's by grace, sometimes it's by blessings, which on a personal note, that's what I believe. Yeah. But how do you create a better balance on how far you can push yourself, right? And what do you get by blessings or grace from God?
That's a really good question. That is a really, really good question.
That is when you're thinking about the answer and then say that's a very good...
Yes, I'm like, what is the answer to this? I will say, that is what I'm doing. But I will say that God blesses those who put in a bunch of work. Yeah. I truly believe that even if, this is just my belief, I don't even know if it's spiritual or not, but I believe that if I keep knocking at that door, even if God didn't want to open, it's going to be like the 200th time, and it's going to be like, okay, fine, just enter. Yeah. Just because you've been persistent, just because you've seen how much work you've put into it, just how much you've seen that you've really like persisted, you've really shown up for that opportunity. And so for me, when you think about how much work you could put in I put in as much work as possible.
Yeah.
You don't stop working until you've left this place. I think that's just how I look at it. So now when I talk about grace and when I talk about when God then blesses you and when God opens doors, I only say that because no matter how much work you put in, there's probably someone out there who's put in more work than you, right? Yet you were chosen and they were not. And so I think that's where the spirituality aspect comes into play. And that's why I come to it all the time. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much work I put in, no matter how much I show up, I truly don't believe I'll ever be the person who showed up the most or who put in the most work. Because you look at people, even let's just talk about just in the scene. Let's talk about like Rhonda right now, right? Sometimes you'll be working, okay? And you've worked all day and you're tired or whatever. And then you'll be driving and you'll see someone who is just like, they're under the scorching sun and they've been lifting bricks and they've probably put in the most like labor intensive work and they've just put in so much work. And you think, why me? The work that I say that I've put in surely can't be half as much as he's putting in.
Yeah.
So why am I picked? And so that's why I think of the spirituality. That's why I think of grace. I'm thinking to myself, I put in so much work every single day and I don't stop.
Yeah.
But there is a grace aspect because there's always someone who's put in more work than you.
Not just work hard, work or
Work
this
smart.
work smart.
Yeah, no, surely there's that as well. But I think, when people lose the idea of its grace or its blessing, you get cocky.
I know.
It gets to your head. You start to think that you have all this power and you're doing all things. And that's why I don't want to get to that.
So where do you think you're more blessed? And where do you think you really, really worked hard?
Hoy, that's another good question. Where? I think all of it is blessings.
Yeah.
The working hard, I have an eye for where God wants me and I'll work for it. What I've been given, after I've received the blessing, I will say is where a lot of work comes in. Because a lot of people will receive it and they'll fumble it.
Yeah.
I know how to sustain a blessing. If I've been given an opportunity, I'll know how to hold on to it. I'll work smart to keep it and to multiply it.
How do you hold on an opportunity? How do you hold on a grace?
I'll say let me just give an example. I think that's just the easiest way to say it. If I've been given a role at this like great organization, I've been wanting it and I finally landed it. A lot of people think that's the end. Okay, like I've gotten it now.
Yeah.
I'm good. I've arrived. I always think I've never arrived. You know what I mean? And so holding on to it, being smart with it is I show up every single day. I build relationships while I'm there because that's what multiplies. You're there now, but what will get you a step further is communicating, is building relationships, is how you show up.
Yeah.
Is even your presence in the place. People will come into like offices or whatever and you just feel like they're here again today. Like there's some people who have that energy. But by being the person who shows up, and I generally bring light to a place and we're smiling and we're joking and we're lighthearted, but I also show up, I deliver. The work I've been given, I'm going to deliver. That's what sustains it. That's what holds on to it. So you don't lose it. So people know that you are worth being given this opportunity and we can actually trust you with more. And so I will say, I think that's been the biggest thing. Getting it in the first place, I'll say that's the blessing. But then having the wisdom to keep it and just multiply it.
So this conversation is going to be on internet.
Yeah.
Right? So which means it's going to stay there forever.
Yeah.
And maybe your grandkids will find it.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Or the 40 or 50 years old, you will find it.
Yeah.
How do you want to feel if you look back, or if your grandchildren look back in many years ago and say, this is what mama or grandma was talking about? What do you want to feel and what do you want to get out of it?
I want it to be grounding. Because after a lot of years, I've heard that, and I say I've heard because I haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
But I've heard that sometimes you lose the spark.
Yeah.
Because of the pressures and because of how fast-paced this world is. You lose the spark, you lose the excitement.
Yeah.
You lose the vim that you have for life. And so I would hope that this is grounding. I hope that brings me back.
Yeah.
That it brings me back from a place of excitement for life. That it brings me back to a place of hope.
Yeah.
And that as I'm speaking from a place of confidence of this is how I sustain opportunities and this is how I do this and I'm doing it with a smile, I'd hope that I haven't faced so much disappointment that I've stopped finding hope in tomorrow and how good life really can get. And so that's the biggest thing. I think besides even just this right now, I'd hope that that's what I can bring from where I'm at right now in life.
Yeah.
Just my level of excitement for life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This has been really a great conversation.
It was.
And then for our listeners, again, Audrey,
Yes.
you will hear more about her again and again. I hope anytime you're in Rwanda, we can be able
For
to have
sure.
a conversation.
For sure.
But hey, yes, thank you very much for following. As we always say, remember to subscribe and click like. That's what we say.
Yes.
And see you next time.